What's up guys, welcome to Voicey here. This is your host, Captain Zach, and today's subreddit is r/IDontWorkHereLady with a little bonus from r/Today I Fudged Up. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. This story's called Berserk Tyrannosaurus Ivanka. This happened years ago, more than a decade. Back when I was working as a sommelier, chef, manager of one of the top-rated restaurants in the city. Not number one, but not far off either. We might not have been the best, but we did our best. Anyway, this meant that I was going to a lot of tastings on my free time. And sometimes on my days off, I would be down at the liquor store at 7 a.m. to get in line for a particular vintage's release. Basically, some wines were always available, others came to the LCBO only in limited supply releases. These were first come, first served, so if it was something special I really wanted, I had to be there before opening. This was one such case. I had been waiting outside in the blistering early February cold, -31 degrees Celsius, I believe it was that day. Don't know how cold it was with the wind, but I was well bundled up. People who stayed in their cars might miss out on some things. As I had mentioned, it was first come, first served, so there was some real competition. There were about 9 of us there, plus the parking lady, watching us from her little booth. I knew almost everyone, except one 30-ish lady, dressed to the nines, and a boy, maybe 20-ish, who was with her. There was also some older man who I had seen at another release earlier that year, but never got to talk to. The rest of them were all people in charge of buying for the restaurants, and one guy who was there to buy for a rich guy who lived up in the hills. Pretty much everyone was at least outwardly nice. The manager / handling customers kind of talk was just automatic. We were all standing in the cold. I was leaning against the building and looking out at the line. There was a liquor store employee visibly inside getting stuff ready, and most of the people in line were watching them. Eventually, the doors open and we all roll in. I immediately grab a pallet of brick charred Cabernet sparkling wine, which was just amazing that year. It was right around from the door, first on the list. Bright, but still with the biscuit you expect of actual champagne, even though this was not technically champagne. So now I am rolling my palate through, looking back and forth with a crane neck for what I was really there for. And I found it. Ella Valley Vineyards Ever Red. Delicious, but not well known. I wanted a whole pallet of this as well, so I called over a worker who was standing nearby and asked if they could bring this to the cash for me. I would be over there to pay for it soon. I continue my search and find the Pio Cesare release. It's an excellent year for the Barolo, so we are actually getting 2 full pallets. I finally find them and start moving the boxes from one to the other. As I finish, I start walking towards the cash, pulling my double-loaded pallet of vintage Barolo. Other than this, everything else we will be able to order. This is all we can really fit in the van anyway. I place an order with the same worker I had before. Stuff from the general list. They deliver later this week. Great. I was done. I called the brothers sitting in the van to tell them it was time to move everything to the van. So they backed up to the door and we started on our way to meet them. That's when it happened.
Excuse me? Hello? Hello? What is wrong with you?
She begins snapping her fingers as loud as I think fingers can be snapped.
Hey! Yes, you! You're the manager, right? This employee has been very unhelpful.
Admittedly, I was dressed kinda like a manager, but bundled up to resist the cold. So I guess it wasn't that unreasonable for her to think. I had also just told some employees what to do. Unfortunately, this situation was already rather out of control, as the woman was manhandling the manager of another restaurant, not an employee. Not that would be okay to pull anyone around by their shirt collar or bow tie. The woman was struggling. Nice old restaurant manager says piteously,
I told you I don't work here. Let go, you're hurting me.
Ivanka was a roughly 30-ish bottle blonde wearing Louis Vuitton and Louboutin shoes. She was wielding a bottle of $500 Dom Perignon, expensive champagne, like a club in her right hand as she dragged the woman behind her by the collar. I frankly couldn't believe what I was seeing. This was about when the young guy who I had seen with her earlier appeared. I'm so sorry, Miss Ivanka. I'm so sorry. I couldn't find it. It's not there.
You idiot. Find it or don't come back.
At this point, the actual manager had arrived. Miss, please put down that bottle. What's the problem? I'm sure I can help you. Just let go of the nice woman and put the bottle down, please. With shock in my voice, I say, pardon, miss, but please don't hold other people like that. Please let her go now.
This bench refused to serve me. Refused to serve me. Do you have any idea who I am?
At this point, she is literally screaming, tugging nice old restaurant manager's collar for emphasis. People have started coming to see what was going on. I turned behind me and one of the security guards has run up to me. Luckily, it was the bigger one. I can hear someone in the background calling the police. Not on the phone, shouting to the police down the street outside. I look at the security guard. He's a huge guy. Works as a bouncer on his days off at some of the clubs in the market. He's making a very concerned face. For real though, he is enormous. 6'5" or so, easily 350 pounds part muscle, part punch. He's also very kind, gentle, and a caring person. Berserker Ivanka's attention is off of me for the moment as she screams at the manager. I motion for him to go to the right. I start moving slowly around her to the left. We're used to working together like this because we all get together one night a week after work. The guy also works out at my gym. We both move slowly at first, then rush in quickly. Ivanka isn't exactly imposing, even in her rage. We just rush her while she's still distracted, yelling at the younger guy manager. The guard grabs her left arm, which has been holding the bottle. He plucks the bottle out of her hand as I am grabbing her fingers with one hand, pulling them away from nice older restaurant manager's collar, then spin her arm around as I make sure with my other arm that nice older restaurant manager doesn't fall down. She's quite old after all. Once I'm sure that nice older restaurant manager is okay, I twist Ivanka's arm around behind her back and give it to the guard who has already put the bottle down. So he now has her firmly in his grip. Impossible for her to escape as she continues screaming that we're all going to lose our jobs. It only took a few minutes for the police to arrive, maybe 5 at most. The manager has failed to calm Berserk Ivanka down. There is a local and provincial police officer not far away. Plus, the street between the mall and the liquor store is one of the patrols that is constantly under surveillance. The cops hang out at the mall or out in front of the liquor store a lot because of how often the homeless people try to beg there. Anyway, when the cops finally arrived, they took Ivanka away. She was still ranting hysterically. Never did find out who she was. She just kept screaming at me.
You can't do this. I'll have your head. You're all fired. All of you. Yo, police, arrest them! Arrest them!
She seemed to not understand at all what was going on. The police came and got her from the guard, who was more than happy to be rid of her. She kept screaming about injustice and how she was going to have us all fired and how I was the worst manager in history. No idea what her problem actually was. I couldn't smell alcohol through her perfume, but it could easily have been drugs. Whatever it was, she was acting extremely crazy. She didn't end up hurting anyone badly, though she did try to struggle and bite the cops, so I am sure she got charged with something. Also, she bruised the nice old manager lady around her collar. Nice older restaurant manager was otherwise okay though. I was so busy all the time back then that I didn't take the time to follow through and find out what happened. But I am sure she must have at least been charged with resisting arrest and probably assaults and disorderly conduct. Anyway, people who behave like that at that age usually don't learn. But at least for the time being, the police got her off the street. Tyrannosaurus Ivanka was also banned from the store. That much I was told by the manager on my next visit about a week later. I never did see her again at any events or releases. It definitely does sound like drugs. What's your conclusion, Voicey veterans? Comments. This story's called Kitty Committee Volunteer, I guess. I finally got a story that's at least tangentially related to the sub. It wasn't a bad one, but I definitely don't work there. So we've had a serious feral cat colony starting around our house, after a colony a few blocks away broke up. After one of them got into our garage, we decided to start doing trap neuter release, to make sure the colony stays healthy and, most importantly, doesn't grow. So after trapping our 4th cat, I got in a groove of getting there early, being first in line, and having a clue about the process. My local SPCA only accepts 10 ferals a day. They check everyone in first, give you paperwork and a clipboard to write on, and only after the last person checks in can you go up, pay anything you need to pay, tell them what you need done, and then leave. On a particularly busy day, I was first in line carrying a very spicy cat in a trap who did not want to be there, and I was definitely ready to leave. But I knew I wouldn't be called up until everyone was checked in, and noticed quite a few folks who were waiting outside who hadn't checked in. I walked out holding a clipboard and asked if everyone had checked in. Several people ran in to do so, and 1 or 2 who had already checked in tried to hand me their paperwork. I told them they'd be asked for it when they were called up. They still insisted on handing me their clipboards and pens. I didn't argue since honestly I was bored waiting. Everyone else who was waiting inside, who knew I didn't work there, was giggling as more and more people started asking me questions, to which I answered. It was easier. And by the time I was called up, I had a stack of clipboards to hand over. The lady behind the desk thanked me and I hightailed it out of there, much to the shock of a few folks who thought I worked there. The next day when I was there with another cat, one of the people came up and thanked me for helping them. I mean, it was in my best interest that folks were moving quickly, so it wasn't entirely altruistic, but it was nice to be useful anyway. And I wasn't doing anything anyway. Also, Feral Kitty was just fine. He's on my front lawn pretending to be a bush right now. We'll keep taking care of the colony here and hopefully it won't get too much bigger. I've done 5 and 3 of them are hopefully going to relax and be indoor kitties soon. First of all, good work there, Redditor, you know? Strays are a big old problem. Also, good on you for helping out at the shelter. This Redditor is getting some brownie points today, huh? This story's called Today I Fudged Up by Practically Confessing to My Long-Term Best Friend. Throwaway since she knows my Reddit username somehow. We've been friends for over 10 years. Met when we were in elementary school and I've had the longest crush on her. For 10 years, I never considered confessing. I was afraid of losing a close friend, and most of all, being scared of the fact that we may never interact once again. The girl, who I'm going to refer to as Jennifer, was my closest friend. We spent endless nights chatting online, endless days talking to each other, and taking care of each other when we needed help. Some may call me a wuss, but she was just so freaking special to me, couldn't bear losing her. But I soon realized that if I didn't confess soon, someone would, and that would be the end of that. That being said, I gathered courage and decided that I would ask her on her birthday in our senior year, the very last year of high school. It was a good time to ask. We were both done with early applications for university. I planned an elaborate scheme of a surprise party where I would later ask her out during the night after the party. The day before her birthday comes, all my friends, aware of what was to go down, were excited and wishing me luck. I had invited most of our friends, both hers and mine, which made this a huge party at this point. For her birthday, I had made her this silver ring that had taken me months in my industrial tech class. It was cheesy, but I wanted to go all out. I was done being her friend. I was done limiting myself to simple hugs and high fives. I wanted to get closer. Her birthday rolls around. The party is supposed to be at 7. To surprise her, I tell everyone to come at 6. She wasn't aware that my house was practically full, all prepared to scare the living crap out of her. I had told her that it was just a few of our friends hanging out at my house for the night. I couldn't wait. She'd be so happy. It's 6 p.m. Guests come one by one. Everyone is pretty much aware that I'd be asking her out later that night. Don't know how, but apparently they all know. Guess the facts spread throughout the guests. Everyone is wishing me luck. The more people come to ask me about it, the more I got nervous and anxious. As every minute passes, my heart begins to beat faster and faster. It's 6:45. I quiet everyone down. I text her when she's gonna arrive. She reads my texts but doesn't respond. I panic. I call her. She rejects my call. I get anxious. I move around. People are questioning the situation. It's 6:55. No sign of her. No text. No call. Suddenly, I receive a snap. It's from Jennifer. I open it. I see a picture of her. And next to her face, I see another face. Some guy. In the caption, it reads, word by word, it was ingrained into my head. Sorry, hanging out with my new BF. Say hi to friends' names. For me, my mind went blank. I didn't know how to respond. I didn't know how to react. Never had I felt such a feeling, but it was as if my soul had left my body for a few seconds. I quickly began to doubt it. It had to be a prank. Maybe BF meant best friend. Maybe it's her brother and she's screwing around. But it dawned upon me. No way was it any of that crap. It was her boyfriend. Jennifer got a boyfriend. At that very moment, I had never felt so broken, so devastated. So many emotions crossed my mind, I don't even recall how the party ended. I just remember going to my room and laying down, staring at the ceiling for hours. I wish I had bawled or talked to someone, but I didn't. I just remember staring at the plaster ceiling for hours on end, taking a few unconscious breaths and blinks every few seconds. My eyes were dry as a rock. My body went numb. It's been around 3 days. I've been in my bed. I haven't gotten to school. My parents seem to be worried about me. Jennifer probably knows about the party that I had planned. And I mean all of it. All of the plans about how I was going to ask her out. After all, her friends would have told her later in school. Everything went wrong. I don't understand. Everything was going so well. I just want to get these emotions out. They're killing me on the inside. I don't know how I'm going to face her, especially with her new friend next to her. I'm sorry if all this sounds like BS. I just want to talk to someone and I'm too embarrassed to talk to anyone that personally knows me. Someone please help me. I don't know what the heck is going on. I'm going insane. Here's what I'll say. She probably wasn't that worth it, honestly. If you had planned something for her, if she had made plans with you, if she had agreed to go to your house, whatever her expectations for what was going to happen were, she should have come, If she was a good person, she would have come. If she was a good person and she knew about everything that was going to happen, she would have come or at least told you, ahead of time, like, hey, I'm sorry, don't do that, or, I can't come. She would have told him about the boyfriend or something, There was absolutely no courtesy there, and my guy just got ripped off for 10 years of his life. Even if the friendship was good, that's good, but still. She did you dirty, dude. I'm not just talking about the fact that she got a boyfriend. That's her business, she can do what she wants, obviously. She doesn't owe you crap. But if she agrees to go somewhere and she doesn't go to the thing, and she probably knew about what was going to happen there, and she decided to blow you off to hang out with her new boyfriend or whatever, and she rejected your calls and didn't answer you at all. You know what? She's a jerk, okay? Don't worry. You're probably not listening to this, but who cares?
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.